Hi, I'm Dawn Fleming, host of the Midlife in Paradise channel. Thank you for being here. I put this video series together to answer the most common questions that we've received about moving overseas. In 2008, we were devastated by the financial crash, and I explained how that all came about and what we did afterward in this video. After we had recovered, in 2016, we invested in real estate in Mexico. We had no intention of moving there, but a year later, we thought, why not? We had a business, we could work from anywhere. So we jumped on our sailboat and went down to see if we liked it. If we liked it, we'd stay. If we didn't, we'd go somewhere else. And we did like it, so we stayed. Over the years, I've gotten lots of questions. I answered many of them in my book, Claim Your Dream Life, How to Retire in Paradise on a Shoestring Budget. There's a link in the description. I've also prepared a document, The Ultimate Insider's Guide to Starting Your Overseas Retirement. It answers the most common questions that I get about moving overseas. I've created a series of videos, and you can get the answers to each individual question just by watching a quick video. But if you want the comprehensive document, there's a link in the description. Dawn, should I rent first or just go ahead and buy a place to live? Answer, definitely rent first. We moved from California to Florida, where we rented for 6 years. The first area we moved to was not a good fit, so we moved to a second part of the state. After 4 years, we decided to move on. Now, we lived in nice houses without having maintenance or repair responsibilities. Had we purchased a home, it would have severely restricted our options to move somewhere else. If you don't really know an area well, it makes sense to test drive it by renting for a while before making a huge financial investment. Consider the Goldilocks method. When Barbara Harris and her husband left Canada, they had a specific plan for finding their paradise. They envisioned being part of a Mexican community, so their plan included studying Spanish so they could communicate with the people they met along the way. Their plan called for them to downsize from a big house to a 2-bedroom condo before they began the drive from Canada to Mexico. They owned a timeshare, so they researched and found 8 units available in the interior of Mexico, all within driving distance. The 2 senior citizens hit the road in a big old gray van with Canadian license plates and driver's licenses. They spent a week in each location, driving from place to place. At first, they lived in Puerto Morelos, an adorable beach town halfway between Cancun and Playa del Carmen. They loved it there, but it's a small town. Other towns were too big and touristy. They wanted something in between. So they rented a car for a week and lined up a realtor who showed them beautiful colonial homes in Merida, which were extremely affordable. They loved Merida, but they had just moved from the hustle and bustle, buses and busy streets of Vancouver, British Columbia, and they weren't interested in city life. So they checked out Progreso, a beach area about a half-hour drive north of Merida, to look at a few homes there. As they drove back to Merida, Barbara told her husband they could afford the last villa they saw. They called their realtor in Canada and said, sell it. They made an offer on a Progreso villa 1 block from the beach, and 7 months later, they packed up and moved to their beautiful, fully furnished 2-bedroom, 2-bath villa with a private swimming pool for 140,000 Canadian dollars. After 4 years, her husband longed for mountains and ocean views. Although they both loved the ocean, they decided to try something more scenic. They rented a house in a gated community called Los Arroyos, about 10 minutes from the ocean outside Puerto Vallarta, and they stayed for 5 months. One day they saw an ad for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo with vaulted ceilings that overlooked a golf course on the 3rd floor. They jumped on it. The realtor recommended a contractor to redo the kitchen. They went overboard with the remodel, but it was stunning when it was finished. Living on the 3rd floor with no elevator became challenging when Barbara developed health issues and hip problems. They sold the condo and moved back to Los Arroyos. The gated community was a fallback place and not really their cup of tea. One day, Barbara was on Facebook and saw a great property. It had been a mango farm owned by a couple with 7 kids. The dad died young, leaving his wife with 7 children. They continued to run the mango farm, and any extra money they had was used to buy more land. The property was eventually subdivided into 20 good-sized lots. Now, Canadians, Americans, Mexicans, and 1 Italian have bought lots and built wonderful homes. Barbara and her husband rented the last home owned by the original owner. It's still a gated development, but it suits their lifestyle a lot better. They positively love the home and the location. It takes 1 minute to get to the main road, and then in 6 minutes, they're at the beach. They can park right there and walk the beach, or be at 2 or 3 restaurants in a couple of minutes. It's just a 10-minute drive to 3 major grocery stores that has everything she wants. Goldilocks finally found her paradise, a place that's just right. The lesson in this story is to be flexible. Don't be afraid to try on different locations, lifestyles, and climates until you find one that's a perfect fit. It's much easier when you are unencumbered by real estate.